Thanks for calling the Beards and Sundries hotline. You've reached Anthony. Leave a message after the beep.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. It's your caller, Jody. Dropped my butcher knife there. Didn't mean to. Accidents happen. I heard you guys talk about me this week. Best part of the show, if I'm being completely honest with you. I heard what you had to say, Anthony, especially your cup of ice. Oh, sorry, did it again. Keep up the good work, like I said. You're willing to talk. I mean, if you guys want to talk more about me, that's totally great. I'm sure that makes the show even better. But careful what you say. I definitely wouldn't want to have to make this a 4 out of 6 balls rating.
You've reached the Beards and Sundries podcast, where things get gay, and hilarious. You've made it past seasons 1, 2, and 3. Now, you've reached season 4, the hottest season yet. This season's gonna be the tits. Now, sit down, strap on, in, and get ready to laugh your asses off with your 3 bearded hosts, because they've been waiting all week to get you hot for this show. Now, welcome your hosts, Jay, Anthony, and Joe.
And welcome back.
Welcome! Woo! Coming to your market for the podcast.
Wow, I'm loving this.
Welcome back to season 4, episode 22.
Do we all have beards on this show?
And sundries.
Whoa! Time for another lunch break here at the Beard and Sundries Market, the shop where 3 gay men with beards do inventory on a new sundry in each episode.
Lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Just in case we can't use this for legal purposes. And welcome back.
Hello! And welcome back!
Welcome back to season 4, episode 22 of Beards and Sundries.
Oh my god, it's the podcast of bearded men! Oh wow!
That's right! It is time for another lunch break here at Beards and Sundries, the shop where 3 gay men with beards do inventory on a new sundry in each episode.
My name is Jay, and ever since they released that new album, Ultimate Gay Country Songs, last week on our show, I have the banger Country Pussy stuck in my head all week.
I'm Anthony, and every week I forget a crucial piece of editing, I'm reminded of my inevitable march towards death.
And I'm Joe, and I'm a changed man, a country music fan, because of our new album at the market. But I've been stuck in country bussy for about 11 years now, ever since I moved to Oklahoma. But today's Thunder Adam is nostalgia. Beardos, we've taken trips down memory lane before, but some recent trends that are re-emerging have us feeling some type of way about things we grew up doing. Today, buckle up, because it's time for another trip to the magical times of our youth. Later on, we'll also reminisce about our first Pride experiences, because it is Pride Month. Happy Pride. Hi, Gay.
Happy Pride!
Hi, Gary.
And then later on, Jay has a homebrewed game in store for us this week. But before we hop into our time machine, how about this week's voicemail?
We had one. Moving on.
Oh, damn.
I
Jay,
am so glad.
are
that
you and
Anthony's
Jody,
gonna-
like, related in some way? Because his sense of humor is very on par with yours.
It's why we're such good friends.
Okay, I can see that. Anthony's doing that, not me. You can be mad at him again, not me.
Yeah, don't.
I like country music. I love Dolly Parton. Yay. Yay.
I did
I
add that
defy
to
you.
user content, so
To try to come up here and cut off one of my balls. I have nothing to lose. I do this podcast once a week with these two. Do you think I have anything that
You have
I'm
two
scared
things
of?
to lose.
Whatever.
Well, thanks, Jody. Any
Thank you,
voicemail is a good
Jody.
voicemail.
Genuinely, I do enjoy your interaction, so I always appreciate it.
Now, Beardos, if you want to be like Jody and do your homework and leave us a voicemail, don't forget that number is 405-999-2242.
I checked on our supply of voicemails and we're getting low. Send more. Send them in voicemails or send them through text message. We'll take voice messages also. Just send more.
And as a reminder, no one picks up that phone. Jay is not standing by, so don't feel pressured to talk to a real person. Ew, God, can you imagine?
Ugh,
And if
talking
you
to
don't
me
want
in
to text the phone directly and you're a little worried about that, maybe us having your number, whatever it happens to be, you'll also notice in the audio versions of our podcast as of the last few episodes, there is a link at the very top of the show notes that allows you to say text us, and it will send a message directly to our RSS feed, like for us to check on the back end, so we can see a message there if you want to be even more anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they had sundries way back in the before times? In the long, long ago, Joe?
Actually, yes, because that's when the term was coined. But if you guys are new to the show and you're wondering just what the hell a sundry is, the term comes from an old English word meaning odds and ends. Now today, it's used mainly in retail as a way to group together items that don't typically have a group of their own. So, as three bearded gay men that love to dwell on the past, we are using the term to group together the wide range of topics that we cover.
So, I see that you're wearing your Pride toppers, Joe, which is great.
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and wear my Bear Pride toppers. It's Buffalo check, everyone. Because we're
I
sick.
am going to put in my gay pride contacts right now.
They look
Wow,
the same.
you're somehow even more gay.
Because I'm super gay.
Not even wearing any Pride. But anyways, you guys remember back when Family Guy was good? Since we were making
What a
reference to it
good
minute
place
ago.
to start.
I
Let's
know.
talk about original Family Guy and how funny it used to be, because it's certainly not that funny anymore.
It is not funny.
Yeah,
It's
it's lost to
decidedly
time.
not funny.
But do you also remember back when we couldn't just like pause and record TV and you had to actually like wait for the specific time Family Guy came on or whatever
Yeah.
show?
Hated that. I mean, I didn't know it at the time, but now I 100% gross.
I remembered in college, I had friends who had seasons on DVD, and we would sit around and watch those.
Yes.
Yeah. That's still a thing. We have what do we have out there? Will and Grace, like the entire series
Yep.
on DVD.
Mm-hmm. Because we're gay. But also, there's it was back in the time when Netflix was just DVDs before they had streaming. My
Oh,
parents
yeah.
had the original like 2 DVDs at a time plan, and then they did
Oh yeah.
the DVD and streaming before they cut off the DVD thing altogether, and now it's just streaming. But man,
Yeah.
I remember getting that red envelope in the mail, and it was like, all right, it's time for a movie, and we didn't have to go to Blockbuster. It just came in the mail. Woohoo!
Well, and then
Ugh.
you felt really fancy when Redbox came along because you're like, I could literally
Yeah.
walk up to a McDonald's and get a DVD.
Hell yeah.
Ooh, I can get this $1 discount code on the back of a Tito's pizza, and it'll give me $1 off a Redbox rental.
God,
Wow.
that
Pizza and a
all was so
movie.
exciting.
And then Blockbuster tried to do their version of the Redbox, and they were like, oh god, it was like way too little, way too late.
Yeah.
But can we talk about Blockbuster for a second?
We
Since we're
can.
talking about nostalgia, I
love going to
understand
Blockbuster.
that it's completely the inferior way to do like at will watching of things. Like streaming is so much better.
But it was so fun.
But the nostalgia, yeah, it was fun. I think it was the process. It was the process of deciding on something, because I got to tell you now that there are so many streaming services and they have so much content on them. I can spend an hour trying to find something to watch.
Yep.
And it's not fun. I'm annoyed with it the entire time. But I could spend an hour in a Blockbuster and be fucking thrilled about the experience.
I had a fun Blockbuster experience once.
Oh, did you?
I had a movie that was supposed to go back that day. And my roommate didn't take it back. He forgot it when he went to class. And so I thought he had taken it back. He didn't. And then so Blockbuster would charge you for the full price of the movie because you were essentially taking it. So they charged my card, which sent my account into the red. So that was one overdraft charge from my bank. I then used my card unknowingly 6 times that day. So I accrued 6 more overdraft charges that were more expensive than the charges that I was using with the card. So that put my account, I think it was like negative $270 at the end of the day. And I was like, the fuck is this? And like, I looked at all the charges on the bank's website because this was before I had the smartphone. So I had to do it on my laptop computer. Oh boy, this is nostalgic, huh? But then I had to actually go to the bank and plead my case, and the bank manager forgave half of the overdraft fees.
Half?
All right, fine. Yeah, that's what I said. I was like,
it's absurd.
I just took whatever victory I could get.
What bank did you go through?
This was a local smaller chain. It was called Centra Bank.
Oh, because I was like, Bank of Oklahoma had a lawsuit years ago that what they were doing was pushing the big charge through first. So then all the little charges would come afterwards, and you would just be like, overdraft. So I was wondering if that happened to you, because I did that once, and that was an era where I was very irresponsible, so I just ditched the bank account, went to the new bank, and opened.
I mean, honestly, that's smart. Fuck them for doing that.
I ditched mine when I moved to Oklahoma. I was like, bye. We switched to Arvest Bank when I moved to Stillwater, Oklahoma, and I really like banking with Arvest. I like their hours. I like the flexibility. I just like Arvest a lot. But so great. Then, speaking of a little bit of nostalgia there, one of the charges I distinctly remember that day was we went to Walmart just to fuck around and not really buy anything in particular. Did you guys ever do that? Like, you would just go to Walmart?
Yeah.
Oh
my God.
When you're a bored 20-something? Hell yeah.
Oh, they were open 24 hours.
Like early 20s, late teens, like that era. Sorry.
College age for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just didn't want to be at home or wherever you resided at the time, so you would go to Walmart.
I can't be at home. My parents are there.
Ew.
I remember the early days of Facebook when there'd be like pictures uploaded of all of us like at Walmart, and we have like these random things we were buying just because we had some money to burn and we were bored and it was 2:00 in the morning and we just went to Walmart, walked up and down the aisles.
Feeling like that was just the epitome of hilarious, like doing random stuff like that, where you were like, this is so fucking funny how random I am.
Oh, how wild. I'm buying this box of multicolored condoms. I did that once and thought it was hilarious.
That's why I see these Gen Z kids on TikTok, and I'm like, I understand them completely, because if this had been around when we were in college, we'd have done the exact same thing.
Oh my God, the stupid stuff I would have done. I mean, stupider than I did, stupider than I do now.
Yep.
When I was in high school, I can't remember what we went out to do. We went to Stillwater. So I grew up in a small town called Glencoe. There's nothing there. It is a population of anywhere to 500 to 600 people, depending on the time. There's nothing there. I mean, there's just nothing to do aside from go get drunk in a field. And if you didn't drink, which in high school I didn't, like, there was nothing to do. And so we would go to Stillwater, which is the closest big town, and go do stuff there. Well, one night we went to the Burger King drive-thru right in front of that Walmart that's on Perkins.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yep.
The only Burger King in Stillwater.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's another one now. Who knows?
Maybe.
But
anyways.
Are they
I decided I was going to be hilarious. And let me tell you, I was. I went through that drive-thru in reverse.
Whoa.
And my passenger ordered our meal and got it at the window.
Oof. I frequented that Burger King drive-thru whenever I lived in Stillwater, especially when I was single for that little short
I'm not a
stint.
Burger King person. It's just,
Oh
I don't
my
know.
God, I
it's
love
inferior to McDonald's. And I
For
don't
me, it's
even
not
really think
who wore it better; it's they both look good.
I guess that's
It's like the
kind of
chicken
it, is
sandwich
like,
thing.
Burger King isn't really a McDonald's competitor, even though I guess they kind of pose themselves that way. Like, it's kind of
Yeah.
a one or the other thing. And you don't really, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think of them as being in the same vein.
Yeah.
The main thing for me is there's not nearly as many Burger Kings as there are McDonald's.
That's true.
Yeah, solid point, yeah. I also remember going through drive-thru at McDonald's, though, when I was in high school, and getting a large Big Mac meal for $5.85.
Oh my God. Can we talk about the dollar menu? RIP. The dollar menu came out when I first started driving. So that's how Joe got really fat his senior year of high school. But, oh my God, I used to go
doubt you were
through
fat.
like double cheeseburger, McChicken, 4-piece nugget, the high C orange, the large sweet tea. Like all of it was $1. It was incredible.
It was a good menu.
You know, it's funny to think about that because one of my early on, like, full-time jobs, I only made like $10 an hour. But at the time, that was a lot.
Wow, 10? That was big back then.
That
It was a big deal because it was myself and my boyfriend at the time, and we lived in an apartment, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment, and it was $425 a month. And
Oh my God. That sounds so nice.
each of us making $10 an hour, we had like plenty of money to spare.
Yeah.
And just it baffles me to think that that was like just 2 decades ago, and that the wages have not changed at all, but everything else is so much more astronomically expensive.
Yeah. It's almost like it doesn't make sense.
Do you guys remember?
Almost.
I'm really nostalgic for living wages.
I-
And by that, I mean it's actually before my time.
yeah.
How much did your first jobs pay per hour?
My first job was $5 an hour.
$5.25.
My first job was CC's Pizza, and it was $5.50 per hour. And this was May 2005.
Yeah, I remember it was when I had a job on the weekends at a local cafe as a dishwasher. And I would
I started as a dishwasher too.
I would dishwash, I'd bust, and every now and again I would cook, but like fry cook, nothing crazy.
I remember I got a raise at my first year to $6 per hour, and then my sister got me an inn for the Olive Garden down the road, and I went down there and started as a host at $8 per hour, so that was a nice
Whoa.
jump. And then a year after that, I became a host trainer, and then that bumped me up to $8.60 per hour, so I was living, sis.
Home Depot was my first $8.10 an hour job, which would have been 2009. And
Wasn't that nice? Such a nice jump going up to the $8 mark.
Oh, I thought it was such a big deal because I'm like, oh, wow, I'm doing really well. And then I realized I wasn't.
Yeah. Your first eye opener. It's always fun.
Yeah.
So my first like paying job was like, well, I mean, I obviously had paying jobs before that, but like my first pay jump job was as a telemarketer at
Ooh.
$7.25 per hour, and it was an after school thing for me. So I would, on my like junior and senior year, I'd go after school to work for like 3 hours, whatever they'd allow me to actually get. And then on Saturday mornings, I would go in sometimes, depending on if I wanted money or not.
So you said $7.25. What year was this?
God, if it was my junior year, it would have been 2002 or 2001.
That's prior to the required minimum wage of $7.25.
That's what the minimum wage is currently in this
It's
country.
still $7.25, and it was $7.25 in 2006 or 7. I think it was 2007 is
Yep.
when I got my raise, a dollar raise from $6.25 to $7.25 based off federal minimum wage, and it's yet to move.
And a fun reminder, Beardos. Remember this. Every time. I read this one time and it stuck with me forever. If a job is paying you minimum wage, it's because they wish they could pay you less.
Yeah.
Every job wishes they can pay you less. Don't work for free. Oh, do you think it's fun to go volunteer for all those corporate things, but you don't get paid for those? Stop doing that. That's corporate welfare. Fuck them.
Yeah, the company's also getting grants for that. So
Yeah.
like companies will
It's a
send
fucking
out
tax write-off.
companies will send out forms saying fill out all your volunteer hours, so that way and they like make it sound like they're really proud of you for being such a good volunteer even outside of work. And I'm like, no, they're using you to get grants. Don't.
Yeah, they don't.
If you
they-
think the
they
company
want
you work
money.
for appreciates you as a person, you're sorely mistaken.
Go
Never-
check
never get it
go check that
twisted.
job position when you find out an employee dies. Go check how fast it's replaced.
Their body won't even be cold
Next
yet.
day.
Yeah. They haven't even pulled you out of that office yet.
Yep.
I once saw someone die on the floor, and HR was already making the posting. They were like,
HR was
"Wow,
like,
that's so
"Oh no."
sad."
But nostalgia.
New
What
position.
else?
Well, since we were talking about TV and Blockbuster and all, did you guys ever go through that era where you record live TV on VHS?
I was
Or
like,
just-
record podcasts? Yeah.
What was on TV?
Yes,
My
I did.
my parents and
Absolutely.
sister did more of it than I did, but I did it a couple times. I think, if like a movie was on TV or something.
Yeah.
So you had to do it because there weren't other options at the time. Like you didn't have, and the way it worked was you would set your VCR to record the TV at the time that you wanted it to record.
Yes.
And you had to hope that everything worked out as far as the timing was concerned. So like if the show was set to start at 7 and then go till 8 or 8:30 if it was a movie or whatever. But then like let's say it's springtime and a fucking storm comes along and then all of a sudden everything gets delayed, then you like miss it and you don't get your recording and everything's fucked.
Everything's fucked. And my favorite part was we would just record movies that we wanted because we
Yep.
were poor, so we didn't go buy them. So if you looked through our stack of VHS we had in our cabinet, it was like, here's a purchase Disney one, here's a purchase Disney one, here's something purchase, and then it's just a bunch of recorded VHS. And so you'd have like 2 or 3 movies on one VHS that you'd recorded from just HBO on a regular basis.
They were all like the Kodak and Fujifilm VHSs, and
Yep.
you had like the sticker on the side. You were supposed to write what was on it.
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
And that's how I watched Willy Wonka and Fern Gully so often in my life because they were the same tape.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah. So
that
we
answers
actually-
a lot of questions about you, Jay. It
Yes,
really
it
does.
Yeah.
I will say, like, we did some recording. I didn't get a lot of movies, but like I did have VHSs to the point that I didn't feel like I had to like go outside of my regular collection. I just recorded stuff as like a luxury, mostly the X-Files, because the X-Files would sometimes happen during church events, and I'm not missing that shit.
Well, and you also had to get your TV guide in the mail.
Oh my
Check the
god!
schedule.
Or at the store.
Yes.
You also had to wait for like that break where they'd be like, oh, at 7 tonight, blah 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 blah, or on Saturday at blah blah blah. TGIF did that, and they would break down the schedule of what's happening and how exciting that was, and it just made me laugh because like now I think about how I just open my phone and I search it, but back then you couldn't even do that from your computer. That not only didn't have the option to do that, but you would also have to like go in, turn on your tower, turn on your screen. Wait for it to load forever.
Yep.
And then you'd have to connect to the internet. And so it was like a 15-minute startup process before you could even get to the internet, which the TV guide wouldn't be there yet.
Or do you remember going to the TV Guide channel and having to watch it slowly scroll through what was on?
And I had
I think ours was
ADHD,
channel 7.
so I couldn't focus. And so like I'd finally get distracted and then be like, oh yeah. And it had already passed. I'm like, motherfucker.
God damn it! We treated the TV guide like we treated the Fingerhut catalog, where it was like your just wish list for the week.
Yes.
Yeah. We would go through
you remember-
it absolutely and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
stuff.
Do you remember on the TV remote where there would be the button that said like recall or last, and it would go to the last channel you were watching?
Yes. I used that all
I think I
the
wore that
time.
button like all the way down on my TV remotes because I would go
Yeah.
back between Nick and Disney all the time.
Mine was because I was watching Queer as Folk.
I would put it on something that, like, after a certain time, HBO would play, like, stuff where I could see sex. And so I would go change it to Nickelodeon. So it was on my recall option. I'd go back to HBO. And so that way, if I heard a noise, I could be like, recall.
Recall.
Oh my god!
Hit the
Oh,
button.
you're so sneaky, Jay.
What was that show, Jay? And I think you probably know it.
Real
Real
sex?
sex?
Yes, that's the one. Yes. Oh my god!
You would
Real
actually see
sex.
dick in that, and I was so
You could see dick.
It's wild to me thinking back that like 8-9-year-old Jay was just like, penis.
I know.
I don't even understand it.
I think of like an early preteen Anthony being like seeing a penis and being like Seto Kaiba and that one fucking Yu-Gi-Oh meme where he's like,
oh man! But that show, like thinking back, I imagine if I watched it now, I would just be like, "Oh, this is like a documentary. This is nothing."
I know, I'd be like flaccid penis. I could get this on Game of Thrones,
but
Not for years
I could
to
get this on a
come.
Google search. I could get this on a WebMD search. Jesus Christ! But back
yeah, I can
then,
look at flaccid penis anywhere.
talk about my
Speaking of-
hormones I didn't even understand yet.
Did you guys ever like get an anatomy book with your first penis in it and just fucking look?
Oh,
Everyone, every time I'd see an anatomy book, we'd go right to the penis, and it was the side
directly
diagram
Do
of
not
like
pass
you
go.
could
Do not
see-
collect $200.
Yeah.
Go directly to the penis.
Wasn't even hot remotely in
No.
any way, but you still
No.
went right to the penis page.
you're
I
looking
gotta know
at
about the penis.
You're looking at the actual testicle. Well, testica. You're looking at the
Testica.
actual testicle, and you're looking at all the workings of it, and you're just like, yeah.
The new Hyundai Testica.
Oh my god, is that our commercial?
Oh my god.
Well, we can't call it Hyundai, but
Oh. Back to those VCR tapes. Did you guys have rewinders in your houses?
I didn't
Like
have a
for
rewinder.
VHS tapes?
You had to use the regular one.
we just used the VHS player as the rewinder.
Oh, you had the one that was specifically to rewind it, and that's all it did.
Yes.
This is a book socks moment for you.
Okay, well then, not to make anyone jealous, but we didn't just have a rewinder. We had the rewinder that looked like a sports car. So you would close it to
Jesus
rewind the tape,
Christ.
and the
You had a
headlight would
luxury
turn
that
on.
looked like a luxury?
Your house was so full of luxuries. Did you never have to worry about your electric bill also?
I mean, not me personally.
You didn't have to worry about your power being off when you got home?
Did you not have to
No.
like worry about losing stuff and paying money because your parents talked about it so much that you were like, well, it's my responsibility to take care of this?
Yeah.
You never carried on the burden of your family's financial situation at 6 years old?
No, I just shoved all those burdens into my book socks.
Which I crammed into my race car VHS rewinder.
Speaking of socks, I came across a meme a couple days ago that
Came.
kind of was perfect for this topic, and it like catapulted me all the way back to my middle school days. Before you guys had a bunch of like the ankle socks, the no-show socks, did you ever take your crew socks and pull them down around your heel to make it look like you were wearing ankle socks?
Absolutely.
No.
And then
I
they
was-
bunch up all weird. And so you'd
Yeah.
basically not be wearing socks.
Yeah.
I had absolutely no concept of what clothes that I wore on a day-to-day basis for the longest time whenever I was a kid. Not till I was probably in 8th grade did I ever think, I should probably start dressing some kind of way.
It probably would have been junior high. That's when I started going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is a thing people care about. I'm going to try that. And so then I'd start noticing everyone in ankle socks. And I'd be like, well, I'm going to roll down these knee-high socks and get them to wear.
I'm gonna roll down these fishnets before I walk down Fifth
That's
Street.
exactly what I was thinking.
like I'm just like, I think my parents were worried about, we don't want sunburn on your legs, honey, so let's wear knee-highs with those shorts.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, they went a little high. Probably not that high, but still.
I was wearing my stockings to school one day.
I was wearing my kinky boots in Latham, Kansas.
Which, speaking of school, just kids are fucking spoiled these days. Do you know how much I had to sit and wait for my school to cancel on the TV?
Oh my god.
Okay. Hang
Scrolling along the
on.
bottom of the screen? Yes.
Let's just take a moment and recognize the fact that kids are not spoiled. If that is the standard of spoiled, then our standards are incredibly low. Because, okay, yeah, I did have to wait for my school to pop up at the bottom of the screen, but you know how many active shooter drills I had to go through when I was in high school? 0.
That's true. Okay. Solid point.
I had to go through some bomb threat things, but like it was like few and far between.
Do you understand the level of jealousy that I had when I found out that your niece was going to 4-day weeks and would have every Friday off?
Yeah, but at the same time, like, if they missed days of school, it tacked on to their end of year.
Yes.
So, like, if
Yeah,
they had a
that's how
snow
ours
day,
worked with snow days.
it went
Yeah.
to the end of the year. Like, anything they missed had to get added on, no matter what the reason was.
Or if we had any day missed for snow or something, our school, because we were a 4-day week, we would just come up on the following Friday and use it as a school day.
Yeah, which is also
Or,
the other thing.
or something really similar, like a couple Fridays down to give people time, whatever. But
So, like, on Memorial Day, whatever, there's a 3-day weekend, they tack that on to Friday, which, I mean, I guess
Yes.
they don't because it's the end of school, but, like, Labor Day, that's a great example because Labor Day, instead of going to school Monday through Thursday, they go Tuesday through Friday.
Tuesday through Friday? Okay.
Yeah,
And
so they
so-
never actually have, like, the same type of, like, long weekends we used to get.
So they
It's like-
move bank holidays to Friday instead?
Yeah, and they stay
Basically.
longer at school because they're usually there till, like, 4 p.m.
Ew.
yeah, we were from 7:55 until 3:45 or 4 or something like that.
Something like
so for
that,
school,
yeah.
it was kind of long. And then we would do even like Easter break. They would give us off the Monday after Easter, and then that Friday we were at class.
My middle school was kind of wild because I think all the buses in my district had to share between all the schools. But my middle school started at 7 a.m. and we got
Oh.
out for the day. We got out for the day at 1:40 p.m.
That is awesome. I wish I
Yeah.
could do that right now at work.
I want to do
So-
that.
Myself, along with a lot of my schoolmates, became latchkey kids for at least those 3 years because we were getting home so early in the day.
I got to tell you, that is the one nice thing about growing up in like rural Oklahoma or rural Kansas or just rural anywhere is like you're a latchkey kid generally. Everybody's
That's just
a latchkey kid.
normal.
Yeah. Like you get home, your parent, like I remember just being out at night and I never had to like tell my parents that I was going to be out. I just did it.
Yeah.
So when we all started driving in high school, the way that the feeder schools fed into my high school, it was 2 of them, and one was on one part of town, and the other one was basically on the other side of town. So once we all had our cars, we would go after school usually, and we would hang out at our friends' houses. So all the parents would kind of like communicate, and they knew where the kids were, or we would call home on the landline and tell them where we were. And basically, after school was just hanging out at someone else's house until like maybe 8 or 9, and then you would go home. It was usually because you'd have to be home before dark was essentially the rule, I think, usually growing up.
So we didn't do the before dark thing, but it was just because we lived in a small town. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing going on. And I mean, there is stuff going on, but like not for me. And so the odds of getting like murdered for you at that age and that time was just so negligible. Your parents didn't give a shit.
Well, for a lot of the parents, it was kind of like a safety thing because of the university being in Morgantown too. So they wanted us off the roads before the college age kids would kind of go out and get wild. So it was kind of that.
I also
you
remember
had that
like
you had that spooky
ahead.
mom story like, hurry up and come in, honey, before the drunk driver runs over you.
oh god,
It was Chupacabra a la drunken WVU student. Number 1 party school in the country, baby.
And then when you're lying in the road splattered, he gets out of his car and he's like, let's go, baby! Whoa!
Almost.
my
It's
God.
let's go. Mountaineers.
While there's a flashlight under her face, like in the dark.
she's like,
just lighting
she's got
up
the
her
flashlight.
face.
And she goes, "Have you ever heard the tale of Chad from Tau Beta Delta?"
He's a liberal college boy. And he's had
And he
42
drives
years.
drunk and runs over kids like you. Stay out after dark.
God, is this that weird haunted house you talked about? That
Oh,
was like
yeah,
guild
that is
haunted
actually
house?
how that works. Yeah. Judgment House was kind of like that, but
Wow.
Chad
Judgment
was like
House.
the target. He's like, Chad did a marijuana and then he ran into a tree pole. And now he's in hell forever.
I didn't realize it, but yeah, that's basically
Yeah,
what just
that's
happened.
it.
We explained Judgment Houses to you again. We acted it out.
Poorly. Yeah.
Then he got behind the wheel of a car and died
Which was always their fucking go-to.
every
And
time.
There's so many other ways to die.
Well, because you could kill so many birds with one stone. Don't do drugs.
That's true.
Alcohol.
Don't drink. Yeah, that's true. Don't
And
have
believe in
sex. Because he went out, he drank, he had underage sex before marriage, and then he
Yep.
got in the car, and then he wrecked, and God was like, well, I know I'm supposed to be omniscient and loving, but you got to go to hell, man. You drank and you had sex before marriage.
Wah, wah. And then like the 80s,
You gotta
like, whoop, 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 sound plays while he's like,
You got to
messed
respect
up."
my arbitrary rules.
But see, this murderer over here, he believes in me now after killing a family of 42 somehow.
He said sorry,
42.
so he's not going to hell.
so he's fine.
So the rule of thumb here is basically like, love me or go to hell. And even then, you don't have to really do it. You just got to say you're doing it. Or at least that's how American evangelicalism works. But then if you deny it, you're probably who supplied it.
I was just about to say, whoever smelt it, dealt it.
Well, this has been another fun trip down memory lane for sure, Beardos. And we'd love to hear about some of your nostalgic experiences. Send us an email, send us a voicemail, send us a voice memo, send us anything. But do you guys think it's time to go take a quick break?
I do.
I think it is time to take a quick break, and I'm going to go start my car by pumping the gas pedal and then change my brights by clicking the bright button on the bottom floor. The good old day way.
Are you loving the episode? Have you ever thought about creating your own episode? You know, like having your own podcast. What are you waiting for? Get started at podup.com. We're one of the sponsors of this podcast, and we would love to sponsor yours someday as well. Starting is as easy as creating an account at podup.com today. Podup has literally everything you need to run a full professional show. Podup has over 35 different tools with AI integration to further help you succeed. Create a free starter account or get a paid account for 15% off with code BeardsandSundries15. So go check out podup.com. Or if you're running a podcast that's done for you, where you pay an agency to do all of the website, social media, and editing work, check out podallies.com. PodAllies is an agency run by the folks that literally built the PodUp podcasting software. Get started with them at podallies.com. Get 15% off when you sign up today for PodUp or PodAllies with code BeardsandSundries15. We can't wait to create with you and launch your podcast. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to Jay, Anthony, and Joe on the Beards and Sundries podcast, the podcast rated 5 out of 6 balls.
Well, Jay, back in your day, whenever you did Pride, did you ride on the Twink float?
No, he floated on Twinkies.
What did I do? I don't know. That's a long time ago.
You don't
No,
remember
I-
your first Pride?
Barely. It was in Wichita. I do remember that. I was so scared.
Oh, me too. Me
I
too,
was
girl.
so scared. And it was tiny.
So we did Oklahoma City Pride as my first one, and we did it. I did it on the soda float. And for listeners out there, SODA was a organization at Oklahoma State University that stood for Sexual Orientation Diversity Association. So when I'm saying I'm riding on the soda float, it's not a root beer float. Sorry.
When it really should have stood for sucking our dicks all together.
There were a couple of events that were kind of like that.
Events. Yes, they were events, all right, from what I've heard.
We went to an event one time for SODA that was like, we rented a cabin. Officially, SODA rented a cabin out at Lake Keystone.
Oh my god, you
And-
were a cottage whore!
This is where the song on
Because
the
it gets
album
worse.
Cowboy Orgy started.
And so they had the one that was the official soda cabin that was paid for out of the organization's funds. And then my friends, Chris and David, who were dating at the time, who I actually ended up living with a little bit later, rented their own cabin that was the hedonist cabin. I had sex on the living room floor next to two lesbians who were also having sex. It was a really fun time.
It's so diverse.
We were diverse. We were being very open about our sexuality. We really were accepting. I said, you can fuck that woman and I'll fuck this man. And we are doing so good. Look at this. This is progress.
That gave me a flashback to when I was in high school. It was my senior year. And in Kansas, we had what was called KMEA, which was Kansas Music Educators Association. And you had to audition to be in the choir, blah, 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 blah. So 250 kids nationwide would make it. I made it that year, and so I was the only kid from my school, and the school paid for my hotel. Well, I ended up dating a guy at the time, because it was like a 3-day event that we had to rehearse, and then we'd perform on a Sunday or something. Well, I was dating a guy at the time that also made it from a different school, and we had somehow bamboozled the situation to where we got the schools to pay for our hotel room to be together.
What?
I do not remember how we did it,
Oh
but I
my
remember being like, "This is
God.
amazing."
That's
And
fierce.
I-
Look at you.
Fierce.
I completely forgot about that, and yeah,
That's
wow.
impressive, Jay.
Thank you. I was pretty good at being manipulative back then. Yeah,
Right.
it was
You're
so
like-
nice.
Hey, I'd like to share my room with this heterosexual friend of mine.
I was like, yeah, he's one of my really good friends, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, we'd get in there and we'd be like, hello, nude.
The schools are calling the hotel, and the hotel's like, "It's 2 queens. Is that okay?" And the schools are like, "Yeah, we know. They're going to be staying together. Is that all right?"
So to bring it back around to Pride, though, before we get too far off topic, because we will, my first Pride was in Oklahoma City, and I remember riding on the float for soda, and I was wearing this pearl snap brown short sleeve, like, cowboy-esque shirt. It had the little, like, you know what I'm talking about? The little, like, embroidery that goes down at an angle and comes back up just over your chest.
Oh, yeah.
So, like it kind of does like a
country shirt.
wide ass V. Yeah, it's a country shirt is what it is, but I got it from probably American Eagle or some bullshit. Or Aeropostale. I don't know, take your pick. Anyways, I had that shirt and I was like on it and I was like super shy at first, but then like as we were going and people were like really vibing, I was like, all right. And then I like unbuttoned all my pearl snaps, or excuse me, I let my boyfriend at the time unbutton my pearl snaps from like behind me, and then I got sprayed with water from somebody's water hose as we were going by because they were like, woo! And then there was like, I will say for my first Pride, I had a really great experience because I didn't see any protesters. The only thing that I saw at any point in time that like had anybody upset was like one person didn't get the memo that the road was closed on 39th Street or whatever it is that's down there. And some angry guy had like pulled up to the thing. He was like, you could see him in his car, like throwing a fucking fit.
Always that guy.
But there were no protesters. I was so shocked there were no protesters along the parade route.
Yeah, that's back in the day when
Not even
nobody
Westboro
gave a
weren't
shit,
there?
but now like
No.
it's a big deal suddenly.
Wow.
I mean, I think it's one of those things where like, if it wasn't going to get them in the news, protesters weren't going to show up.
Yeah.
Because it's not about their own morals or beliefs. It's about having a platform.
Yeah. And I just don't give them the benefit of attention because that's
I
all
don't
they want.
anymore.
So
I
I'm
used
just
to
like,
be that person at like Tulsa Pride or like anywhere where I'd go. If I'd see protesters, I'd try to like antagonize. Now I'm just like, man, just leave them alone. The whole reason they're here is for attention. So
Yeah,
if you just
that-
leave them
that's all they
alone,
want.
they'll eventually stop coming.
It's not
That's
worth wasting
exactly
the
it.
energy on it. I'd rather use the energy somewhere else.
They're
want
just
to
sort of
be
like this
offended.
background noise. Like they want to be offensive. It's the whole reason why when you go to Pride and you see them wearing those GoPros now, like all they're waiting for is for you to antagonize them and so they can file a lawsuit against you. It's the whole thing. It's a scam.
They're waiting
They don't
to
believe in what
post
they're
you on
saying.
social media to show how shitty you are to them, blah, blah, blah. I mean,
Yeah, like they don't believe what they're doing.
what they're doing, they're specifically focused on giving you a bad rep. And so they will use anything against you. And that's why I'm just like, oh, well, welcome. I mean, you could disagree. I don't care.
Yeah,
Have fun.
I mean, go ahead. Have a
Protest
great
what you
time.
want. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm not offended. That does not bother me.
Like, it doesn't mean anything to me anymore, where I used to get, like, offended by it, and I'm just like, yeah. Have a great time being all mad. Like, you took time out of your day to do this? Do you have a life? I am busy. I have to
You spent your life this angry?
I have to plan for Pride weekends now. Like, I have to make sure that things are planned out in advance.
I have to get out my liquid IV, hydrate,
Yeah,
so I can be
yes.
out in the fucking sun in June.
Yes, which thank God they're moving Tulsa's Pride to October.
Well, Oklahoma City chose not to because we have 2, and we're going to be at the last weekend of June. We'll be at that one.
So come see us if you're in Oklahoma City. We will be sweaty.
We will be gross and
Yes.
sweaty that Saturday at our booth, and they'll be really gross and sweaty in the parade at Pride Fest.
And we'll be wearing our sundry shorts possibly, and they will be absolutely drenched in sweat.
They will be wet, and not the fun wet.
Wow, you really sold it. So my first Pride, I believe, was also Oklahoma City because I didn't really. I mean, probably the closest one for us was Pittsburgh, but we never really made a bunch of trips to Pittsburgh as college students because well, there was enough to do in Morgantown that we didn't really see the point in driving an hour and a half to Pittsburgh just to have to drive back. So I never really did any kind of Pride things during college years, but after we moved to Oklahoma, I did go to Oklahoma City Pride. That was my first actual Pride, and it was hot. Oh my God, it was so hot. So we kept going inside of the bars and the businesses along 39th Street because thankfully they were all open and air conditioned, but that's mainly the only thing I remember was that it was hot as balls and that there was a parade, and that was basically it. I mean, it was okay. It was fine, but oh my God, it's so hot.
Yeah, I was so scared at Wichita's that I basically just showed up and walked around and looked at stuff, thinking it was going to be more like a fair of some sort. I don't know. I didn't know if I thought about gay roller coasters at the time or something.
Being gay is a roller coaster enough, Jay.
Yeah, it's just a city park with gays walking around and a few booths, and I had no money to buy stuff, so it was just like...
Oh, what?
So that's why I kind of like Tulsa Pride, because it is smaller and it is quaint, but there's a lot of vendor booths there, and there's things that you can kind of look at and stop and kind of peruse, and the Equality Center's right there too, along the end of the parade route, so you can go in and they have like art displays, and like groups will rent out booths, and you can kind of walk around and get information, and it's more educational than you would think it is, and there's a lot of resources that you can kind of peruse and look around at too.
I will say, though, modern Pride parades, I feel a little less safe at than I did in the early years. And I don't know if it was because I was naive in my early years or if because there was just way more news anymore.
Yeah, I think it's that. I think
it could be completely made up because, like, we have that 24-hour news cycle now where everything gets barraged at us no matter what it is.
Well, and anytime I think of a parade, my mind goes right to that horrible tragedy in Stillwater, Oklahoma back, what was it, 2014 or 2015,
Something
when
like that,
the homecoming parade was disrupted by this horrible driver with, I don't know what kind of intention she had, but it was awful. And sadly, that's the first thing I think of when I think of a parade, not even just a pride parade, but any parade, is just the danger that's out there, and you never know what's out there. And as happy as I am to march in the Tulsa Pride Parade with the Tulsa Pride Color Guard, there's always that little nagging sense in the back of my head that some whack job out there can turn it in the blink of an eye, and you always have to have your head on a swivel, and it's such a shame.
Yeah, because the only thing that keeps people from just driving on those roads are wooden partitions that are not that sturdy.
And police who you never know if they're homophobic or not, I hate to say, but we do live in the buckle of the Bible Belt, and you never know what cops are there with the illest of intentions as well.
So I'll move it from a less heavy subject, but a still critical one.
Yeah. No, lighten it up.
So I am all for making sure that we're aware of history, but what drives me bonkers is if I walk in and I say, hi, oh, this is a great event, and it's like older gays sitting there, and the first thing they do is start going, you don't know what we had to go through to get you these rights. I'm just like, okay. Yes, I get that. If I gave you a reason to say that, completely different story. But I'm
Unprovoked.
not provoking you to scold me in any sort of way, so don't do it. Don't act like I don't know history.
And that pisses me off because every generation is going to have their own struggles. I mean, I think like right now, the struggle of our time, I know we still have progress to make as far as gay rights are concerned. I get it, but there's so much more happening to the trans community currently. There's so much more happening to the, people of color. Their community is struggling, and especially if they belong to the LGBTQIA community, there's just so much there that we're still struggling with. Like, it's still very real, and it's not like I went out there and passed a law on my own to do it. It takes community effort for us to make this kind of progress. It takes visibility. It takes awareness. It just takes. No one person does this. No generation does it on their own. It just doesn't work that way.
But those people that also are saying that, I usually compare them to the person at work who always walks around and goes, I'm so busy. I'm just so busy. They're not.
Yes.
They just have to tell you how important they are. And so I always imagine that person that's telling me that they had to do a lot to get me where I'm at in life, I'm just like, you probably lived in your mom's basement for a lot of years, did nothing in society except do random hookups, and you're trying to scold me for not respecting you a specific way? I walk around and I'm nice to everyone unless they give me a reason to be rude. So, first of all, fuck off.
Yeah, and I get it. I understand, because there was a time where just being gay was so taboo that like, it was just, so I understand.
I do.
I get it. But I think the assumption that we don't respect that type of effort is just, it's an assumption. That's exactly what it is. And we all know what assuming does.
Oh, does it make an ass of you and me?
No, it's meaning that you're trying to like think of something as if it were true, even though it could be or not be true. Jesus, Jay.
Oh, my bad.
And it's just so harmful to have that as your default way of thinking. It's got to be exhausting.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Having that type of defensive mentality all the time cannot be enjoyable.
But as I've said all that, I also don't want it to come off that I have no respect for you for going through that.
It's the exact opposite. I do. I understand. I respect the generations that came before us, because there's no way we'd be where we are today without it. But at the same time, like,
the reason I respect it is because I've already went through a lot of educating myself to understand how we got where we are, just because I like history. So
if you're seeing a younger gay and you think they don't appreciate the struggle that previous gays went through because they don't have to experience it, guess what? Good for them.
Yeah.
Thank God. Thank God that
you got an easier life from something I did.
God.
I'm so happy for you.
I am so thrilled.
I'm not going to guilt you for that.
I don't want you to have to sit and stew in misery for years and years and years because of your sexuality. That is the whole point of trying to make progress. And if future generations have it easier, don't chastise them for it. Just say, great. That's how it's supposed to be.
I don't want you to go through second puberty in your 20s because you finally got to be yourself for once outside of your original life with your family. So I want you to live happy from the moment you're comfortable with yourself.
Exactly. And that's how it should be. I feel so nostalgic about that.
I do too.
Well, great points all around. And may we say again, Happy Pride Month to everyone.
Happy Pride Month.
But do you guys think it's time for a commercial?
Yeah.
I do. And now, for a word from our sponsor, the Daewoo Testica.
beep, beep.
You want a car, but not just any car. One that makes you feel like a power top in the streets and bass like a power bottom with the beats. One that's so sleek it'll slide in any hole in the parking lot. A thick, veiny shifter to thrust it in gear. And a trunk that looks tight, but so big you can fit many objects in there. You may be asking, what car companies could sell something this perfect? Well, it's us, Gaywoo. And we're now releasing the Gaywoo Testica in hard top convertible or soft top convertible. So trade in that boring hetero car and come and pick up the all-new Gaywoo Testica with seatbelts that look like harnesses and specialty poppers holders next to your cup holders. With a spacious and comfortable interior, you can take loads all day. And seat warmers designed to heat up your cake to be hot and ready for whatever you're about to do. So come on down to your local Chevrolet dealership today and pick up the all-new Gaywoo Testica.
This advertisement is for homosexual purposes only and does not constitute a binding offer. Prices, features, and availability of the car and your grinder hookup may vary and are subject to change without notice. Poppers are non-refillable. Harness seatbelts may cause excessive horniness. Please contact your local dealership for the most up-to-date information and ask for the cute salesman named Kyle.
Hey guys, make sure you follow and subscribe to our podcast so you can receive a notification every Sunday when a new episode drops.
Well, my favorite feature on the Daewoo Testica is when you grab that shifter and shift it into reverse and back it up all the way on. It's so safe.
You know, I always appreciate the Testica's output. Just so powerful.
I know, that big exhaust pipe. Oh, so hollow and big and gaping.
You know, the Testica was actually able to get only one ball bearing to control the whole car.
Just like someone else I know.
It's got a rotary engine.
Well, I should clarify that is specifically just that is one like level of the Testica you could buy. The other ones have 2 ball bearings, but the base
Got a
model
great
has 1 ball.
crankshaft though.
But if you want the authentic experience, you have to get the one with 1 ball bearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to know what it's like to be half the car. I remember after going through my surgery, that was the joke I used to say. I'm like, oh, I'm half the man I used to be. And everyone's like, oh.
Well, we've just signed our 69-month lease for our Daewoo Testica, but I think we should move right along. Jay, do we have any Beardo-submitted Testicas? I mean, sundries this week?
We do. First, I heard from Jody on Threads, and he said, hey, at Beards and Sundries, so I listened to the pod this morning. One question, though, Joe. Why do you dislike Dolly Parton? Is it because she doesn't sing on the Now albums?
Okay, one, I never said I didn't like Dolly Parton. I said I didn't like country music. I love Dolly Parton.
It's kind of the same thing.
Pretty much.
Anyway, what did Jody go on to say next?
Well, I did respond back, and I commented and said that the Beards and Sundries market does not represent the views of our host Joe or something like that. And I was like, because Dolly's a queen.
Right.
What was Jody's response? I didn't save that one.
He said, you're right. Joe is really cool and smart and intelligent.
Something similar. He said there's going to be a Dolly Parton book mobile drive by where Joe is knocked out by a flying book. Coming after country music knowing darn well Dolly is queen. Blasphemy. Lock him up. Lock him up.
Lock him up.
I responded, how about this book sock, Joe? Smack.
Always cover your book with the right sock, is all I have to say.
Cover it before you read it. Wrap it before you
Right.
tap into it.
Right.
Close enough. So that was from Jody. And
Thanks,
then
Jody.
Yeah. And then the next one we heard from So he'd messaged me privately about this, and we chuckled. He was very happy that he got the live version of us singing his name.
Yes.
Which, when I listened to it, I'm like, for being all four of us basically in completely different locations, we did a really pretty decent harmony.
That was not bad. I gotta say, especially because like that was unplanned and
Completely.
it was just a moment we were having together.
Yep. So I was really impressed. I listened to it today and I was like, wow, okay. But then after that, I want to take a moment to feel good about this. He said, the best commercial yet. The ultimate gay country album. Clap, 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 clap. And I was like, oh, I needed that. Thank you.
These commercials are work, Beardos. You need to give us more feedback on them.
That one took me 2 days to make. But
Specifically
I just was like,
Jay, because he's been making them all this season.
he is referring to our musical episode a couple weeks ago that released on, March 19th?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
March 19th.
Yeah.
March.
Oh, yeah. Or, sorry, May 19th.
Yeah, May. Yeah, that's what I said. I agreed whenever he
Whatever-
said May 19th.
Whatever
not when he said
month
March 19th.
starts with M.
Don't go
and has
back
3
in
letters.
the recording and say
Not
otherwise, 'cause
Movember.
That's not true.
Oh, man, I'm so ready for Malai. Anyways, which...
Just got it. Fuck off. We're not even to Moon yet. Oh, I guess we are technically now. In the future, when this episode comes out, we're in Moon.
We're in Moon. And then my birthday's in December. Oh, God. Anyways. Oh, yeah, because that's right. May 19th of 2024 was the first time I ever had to run to my cellar. Next, we heard from Bryce Check. Bryce said, hey, guys. It was awesome to see John on the pod this week. And John, I love you, man, but a special fuck you for even suggesting I'm Gen Alpha.
Whoa. I was
I'll
going to
tack
say,
on
this is a lot of
stealing our
praise for
logo.
John, but then you finished the sentence perfectly.
Thank you for balancing it out.
Yeah.
Fuck you, John. Anyway, I'm kidding.
Or John.
I know.
He's fine.
We love you. Anyways, he says,
Poor John.
Oh, John.
oh, he goes on to say, I can't stand Gen Alpha. I don't understand it. I just do. And Joe, of course I know who Fabio is. I'm not that young. And I understand your hate of country.
Okay. Best email yet.
The only reason I like a very small portion of country music is because it reminds me of my grandpa that passed away in 2019. But gay country, on the other hand, go check out Dixon Dallas and Orville Peck. Fucking love Dixon Dallas
More like
and his
Orville
alternate stage
Pecker.
name, You're Pretty. Orville Peck is also a gorgeous-ass man, which, absolutely true. My parents didn't really listen to music much when I was a kid, so I had no idea what music I was actually into until I started exploring multiple different genres in high school. 2 songs that reminded me of my childhood because they were always on the damn radio. Oh my god. Are Dynamite by Ty Cruz and The Lazy Song by Bruno Mars.
Oh,
Oh, why do you keep hurting me?
you want something real fun? Go
This is
find
physically
the
painful. version
version of the Lazy Song, but it's Kids Bop because they had to change a couple lyrics to be safer, and it's hilarious.
Okay. This sentence is redeeming. Some of my favorite bands are Green Day, My Chemical Romance, and Fall Out Boy. Okay.
Of course.
Okay, I see that.
Nice.
You helped yourself there. There are too many individual artists that I like to There are too many individual artists that I like to name them all, but a few I love are Lizzo, Dua Lipa, and Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Yep. Good selection.
I've even gone through the phases where I'd listen to nothing but Mamma Mia or Hamilton soundtracks. Yeah, been there.
Mamma Mia. Here we go again.
Bang, bang. But when I was
Or
younger,
John's
we always-
version. Here we go again. Can I resist you?
But when I was younger, we always had random CDs around the house, and I remember just strolling around the house with my blue CD Walkman, listening to some random, now this is what I call music CD.
Yes.
We even had, now this is what I call Christmas CD with the snow globe on the case. I had that.
I remember that one. Yeah,
It probably was prior to the one he had, but still.
It feels like it's probably just a Michael Bublé album.
No. Oh, well, back when it was a combo of modern and old. That's how I got Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas.
Okay. I remember at some point, like, Michael Bublé and Mariah Carey had, like, the entire, like, chokehold on Christmas
That sounds
music.
right. And he finished off with, it was a great episode this week, and awesome to see John again. Keep up the great work, guys, and can't wait for next week's episode. Much love, Bryce.
Thank you, Bryce. Another wonderful
Thank you,
email.
guys.
And then, lastly, we heard from Derek with the good beard. God, love that one so much.
We're getting better at that.
We are. Derek said, I thoroughly enjoyed the episode this week. Hi, John from HR, and thanks again for my jingle. In terms of my favorite music growing up, it would probably be Prince and Michael Jackson, which, excellent choices. I will support that.
I get it, for sure.
I also love 90s and early 2000s club music. Anything that has a good beat that you can dance to. This included Janet Jackson, Madonna, Cher, Britney Spears, Whitney Houston, Gloria Estefan, which on my album was, what was it? Gloria Enter Me. That's what it was. And any other club anthem not... and any other club anthem that was remixed by Thunderpuss or Hex Hector. Oh, yes. In terms of current music, I'm with Jay, and I'm vibing to Teddy Swims. Saw him in concert, and he was amazing. Here's my confession. As a Gen Xer, I do not know Dua Lipa's music. Sorry, Joe.
It's fine.
It's
Educate yourself.
Finally, I am not a huge country music fan, although I do love some Chris Stapleton, but he's more blues at times than country. That being said, this is the best commercial that you've ever made.
What? 2 commercial feedbacks in one episode? Wow.
I don't know how. Oh, and I also got a personal one that I didn't even read out, so that's 3 today. I don't know how long it took to record samples of all these songs, but it's pretty freaking amazing. Although, I think the title should be Now That's What I Call Gay, Country Edition. The album cover should feature 3 hosts wearing nothing but Sundry's booty shorts, a custom-made beard in Sundry's harness, cowboy boots, and a cowboy hat, which I don't hate this idea. I expected to see the cover art when the Patreon goes live. Have a great week, cow bears. Oh,
I'm into it. Fantastic.
I feel really good this week about that commercial now. As I was making it, I was like, is this going to come out well?
It came out great. I love that commercial.
For those of you who didn't catch it, go back and look at the 90s Ultimate Romance collection, and it's spoofing that commercial that used to wake you up at 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Where Celine Dion blasted your ears out.
And you got the Michael Bolton lyrics wrong again. Good job.
Damn it. How many times do I have to douche again?
Jesus.
Also, you probably couldn't tell, but on the song where you couldn't really understand it. It was my rap with Kendrick Lamar kissing Drake, but they need to get over it because this is Country Town. And then I start my voiceover, and in the background, I didn't want to write any more rap lyrics, so all I'm doing is rap, 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 rap.
Well, thanks, Derek. Another great email as well.
And that is it on user content for the week.
Well, I have a couple on my end as well. And
Woo.
John, I've been thinking a lot about what you said about how we haven't heard my mom's jingle yet, so I dove into my phone, and I did find a good Beardo Submitted Sundry from...
Let's hear it for Joe's mom.
Hear it for Joe's mom. There you have it. There's your very own jingle, Mom. Live on YouTube forever. So, you may remember... a few months ago, when Anthony and I went to Orlando for my birthday at the beginning of March, my sister's 2 bulldogs had just had a litter of puppies, and they were already huge chonks. But this is a photo. We'll put it on the screen here. This is a photo that I got on April 25th from my dad, but it's a photo of my mom cuddling on the couch with their 2 dachshunds and their new bulldog puppy that my sister somehow convinced them to take from her.
Yeah.
His name is Earl, and in this photo, he was already over 40 pounds. And he is huge and just a bunch of love, and he's so cute.
Baby. No.
I can't wait to go visit it and see him and pet him and hug him and like caress him and cuddle on the floor and watch TV with him.
I don't know what they were thinking, but he's so cute.
And
then
they have so much room. Like they have so much space in that backyard for them.
Then I got some correspondence from Beardo Heather. Hi, Heather. And so we were talking about a little bit of what inspired today's topic, actually, some nostalgic things. And she sent me a meme about today's kids never knowing what it was like to have to create your own ankle socks. And it was a picture of someone rolling their crew sock down around their heel to make an ankle sock. And she said, "The horror. Thank God for ankle socks now." So then I sent her a photo of my ankle socks that I was wearing, because Anthony and I have been wearing Puma brand ankle socks from Costco solely for the last 8 years. They are wonderful and comfortable. And she said, "I'm on a plane getting ready to fly to San Diego. So currently I have on my compression socks, but ankle socks for life." So very good millennial response to that, Heather. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I did just see a TikTok video today that was a guy going the millennial urge, trying to get back out of ankle socks, and he's like wearing kind of high ones, and then finally he's like, and rolls them down. I get it though. Why do I have to wear them so high? You know what? Fuck it. I'm old now, and I'm just gonna be weird and wear ankle socks probably.
I wear ankle socks all the time.
I love my ankle socks.
So I guess
Drag
the
me by
difference
my
is
exposed ankles.
I get to wear like shorts to work, so nobody cares what I'm wearing socks wise.
Fine, put on some knee socks and see how it goes.
I'm not doing that.
That's stupid. You should just do it. Nobody cares.
Well, for me, I like seeing a man's calf muscles. So the higher sock ruins that for me. I like the ankle sock because I can see his whole leg.
Also, you know, back in the day,
the Victorian era bachelor in me likes that.
I was like, back in the day, it used to be risky to show your ankles, and so I feel very sexual when my ankles are exposed.
The Victorian era gentleman in me enjoys that. Well, thank you, Joe and Jay, for those Beardo submitted sundries. But does anybody have anything to check out this week?
I've got one this week. So this week I thought it would be fun with our nostalgia topic, another trip down memory lane, to kind of give you guys a fun trip of your own. So what I like to do sometimes when I'm bored and on one of my YouTube binges is I'll go look up nostalgic commercials. So from years that you were growing up, or years that you were in high school, or even the year that you were born, it's kind of fun to do. Type that in and just type in that year and then commercials and just hit search on YouTube. And there are people that have collected these treasure troves and archives of just old backlogged commercials. And it's so fun sometimes to just kind of sit and watch those commercials and ads that were popular at the time, because it's like a completely different era of advertising and things that were popular on television. And it's just kind of fun to kind of just, you know, de-stress and just watch some old commercials. As weird as it sounds, it's really therapeutic.
I get it. It's nostalgia. And sometimes nostalgia is just nice.
So, for example, I typed in 1988 TV commercials because 88's the year I was born. And I'm seeing things like Raisin Bran commercials featuring the California Raisins, which, if you're not familiar with that, they were very popular in the 80s. There's an old 80s Taco Bell commercial, which Taco Bell, back in that day, they were like having to define what a taco and a tostada and what a burrito were, because it was new-ish cuisine for a lot of Americans. And there's like Nike commercials, and there's like all these old food commercials, and they're just so wild because all that stuff was so new back then. It's interesting to see the first iterations of those products being brought to the public eye.
Well, And if you go back even older and be like 1970s commercials, 1960s commercials, it makes me laugh because it'll basically be like,
So much singing.
yes, especially for cars.
obviously.
You will watch every Chevrolet commercial have a new, like, a song and dance. But I'm thinking of like their old coffee commercials where they are just like, oh, this coffee's terrible, honey. I wish you didn't suck so much at being a woman. And then they'll be like, buy this new coffee and you'll be a way better woman. And he goes, thank God you're not so bad of a wife now. I mean, that is like the summary of the commercial.
It's funny that you said car commercials, Jay, because a very popular commercial in our household is the very first Ford Taurus commercial from the 80s. There's this whole song. There's like a rock tune. There's like people reacting to the car driving by. It is so 80s Americana. It's fabulous. So if anything, check out that commercial by itself.
There is a scene in that where there's a lady who's like drinking at a water fountain and she just goes.
Or there's one where she has another lady has like the tennis sweater draped around her shoulders and she turns and she's like, ah, and it's
And they're like,
the song is so catchy.
going, Ford has heard us loud and clear. Ford
then
has seen the future. And it just goes.
And then this 80s Taurus wagon like drifts around a corner like Tokyo Drift style, and it's so like over the top.
Now I'm having flashbacks to early 90s commercials where it was like trucks driving over boulders and it's like a rock. Oh, like a rock.
Hell yeah.
Or the Ford Ranger Splash, like driving through puddles because it was so cool
The
and edgy.
splash. And it was a step side.
I'm also a tad bit...
Gayest Ford Ranger ever made. I wanted one so bad.
As we know, I'm an old woman deep down, and I get Dinah Shore from the 50s singing like, see the USA in your Chevrolet, America's asking you to call. And it's like a 2-minute long commercial of them just like singing and showing the new 1955 Bel Air, things like that.
So, Beardos, go look up old school commercials on your YouTube channel.
It's more fun than you think it is, I promise.
It is. But does anybody have a game for us?
I do.
Ooh.
I'm just going to call it 90s inventions. So, what's going to happen with this game is I'm going to list off things that were invented in the 90s, which is an era we grew up through, and
Because it was the 90s.
you have to guess what year it was invented. I'm going to give you each one guess on the year, and I will give the score to the person that's closest. If you're
let's do it.
equally distant, I'm just going to give you both a point.
Okay.
Or maybe I'll give myself the point.
No.
Nah, I'll give you guys the point. I don't want points.
Thank you.
I don't want to win.
I don't want to be like last week.
How great I was. So this medication was invented in the 90s, and it is called Viagra. What year?
1997.
Okay.
93.
Ooh, Joe definitely is closer.
Really?
It was 1998.
Oh, damn. Nice.
And I'll tell you a little bit about that because I have a urologist after going through all my surgeries and stuff like that. He tells me about Cialis and Viagra and how it started as a heart medication. And then they just realized that it was giving people great boners. And then it took a while, but then the government approved it that they could use it as male enhancement.
I could take Viagra or Cialis for my heart?
Actually, Viagra and Cialis is very beneficial to cardiovascular.
Oh, well, shit. I need that.
And that's why it's prescribed so often, right?
And boners.
Yeah, exactly. My heart's dangerous, but I also want boners. A lot
You
of times
got the best of both worlds.
I'm healthy and sexually active. Ching! But
And I'm stabbing everyone in front of me in line at Safeway.
It's the best of both worlds, and he's walking through fucking the grocery store, and his dick is just hitting all like the fruit and stuff and knocking it off the stands.
He's literally like,
He's
like,
best of
what
both
pasta do I want?
worlds.
And he just
The scale is like
clearing shelves in front of him.
It's
the scale is like
fucking-
place your organic bananas
Banana.
in the bag.
Okay, next one.
Oh, man. All right. This next invention we use all the time. We're using it right now, and it is known as the World
1991.
Wide Web.
1991.
Both of you are choosing
Yeah.
1991?
Yeah.
It's actually 1990.
Oh.
Oh.
But
I thought it was
guess I'll give
91.
you both a point.
Al Gore
Okay.
said.
If you insist.
According to my research.
Hey Bing.
All right.
When was
Oh, shut up. The internet was invented by Microsoft in 1982.
All right. This game system was invented in the 90s, and it's the Nintendo 64. What year?
1994?
1996.
Joe, you said 94?
Yeah.
Anthony, you said 96?
Yes, I did.
It is 1996.
Damn.
I got one the year it came out. I had to save some fucking money.
Okay, let's do this one. The Sony PlayStation was also invented in the 90s. What year?
1998.
1995.
Oh, I think
Joe,
you're
you
right.
said
Anthony.
1998.
Yeah.
So,
I think
it was
Anthony's
actually
right.
invented in 94
Well, yeah, it was
and
close.
then released in the US in 95.
Oh, okay. That explains why.
Yeah.
That explains it. I 100% remembered all of that. And this wine has nothing to do with anything.
Alrighty. Let's move on to this device that I remember I used to have to shut it off all the time on my phone because I was draining battery, but Bluetooth was invented in the 90s. What year?
Ooh,
1990. I think you're right, Anthony. I'm just gonna guess 96.
It is 99.
Oh,
Wow, that's later
really?
than I thought.
And
is
it
late.
did not become popular until like the mid 2000s. So
Which, I mean, I expected it not to become popular till later, but I would have thought that like local technology would have been a lot more prescient in
Yeah.
earlier years.
I thought the headsets were more popular like earlier in the 90s with truckers, but I guess maybe it wasn't until
no,
the
for sure.
2000s.
They didn't get popular until like not even popular. They didn't become mainstream until the late aughts.
Well, and then they were
That's for
also
sure.
probably using wired headsets too. So
I think of technologies like that as like military technology first, so maybe there was some sort of like precursor to what we consider modern Bluetooth, and so
isn't
that's where my
Bluetooth
head
named
was.
after like some English royalty or something? I can't remember.
Ugh,
It's
I didn't
something,
write that
some
down,
weird
but it's-
tidbit.
it's a unique information on why.
Okay, next one. Joe got that one.
Yeah.
If we'll talk about technology, let's go to this one. This is something that we no longer use at all, hardly, but it still exists. It's the DVD, which is also known as the Digital Versatile Disc.
1998.
96 is what I'm going for.
96, and what was yours, Joe?
98.
Damn it, I should have got earlier.
1993.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess invented and then mainstream would
So
be two different things.
PlayStation actually used DVD technology, I think.
So
It's
Don't quote
was
me on
it's
that.
versatile. I thought it was video. I thought it was digital video disc. But I guess
so what it
if it wasn't
was
all for movies.
it used to be like CVD, which was oh god, something video
CDR,
disc,
CDRW.
something
Compressed video.
compressed video, and then there was
Discs.
another one, and basically Mac and PC and all were just like, listen, you have to fucking come to some conclusion because nobody would agree and put the same stuff in, so they came up with DVD,
Oh, like
which
the
was
lightning cable.
yeah, exactly,
Yep.
which was the digital versatile thing. So yeah,
Oh, cool.
this was kind of fun for me to learn. So, going on off that, what was MP3? What was their first year?
Ooh, 97.
95.
92.
Oh,
Damn,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
I'm having
Now,
to change my thinking, Anthony. I'm thinking invented versus mainstream. So
So-
earlier than you
that's
think.
the tricky part.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing, is that's the mentality I took with Bluetooth, and it did not pay off for me.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's interesting. All right.
Is it?
It is. Because I've learned so much. on
Beardos, it's interesting.
this. Shut
Whether
up.
you like it or not.
Listen, the
I
90s were a
made
big
this
time for
note.
technology.
Yeah, no, go off. I want you to go
I
off.
fucking
want you to think.
made
of
this
your
game,
stupid
and you
fucking
just
game.
can't figure it out.
And Beardos, this has nothing to do with last week's episode whatsoever. This is all Jay being dramatic.
Yeah, I'm
Anyways.
very dramatic for no reason.
All the time. And me too, apparently. Jay.
God, I love that. Game Boy Color. Let's do that one. It was
96.
invented in the 90s.
96.
94. 94.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably closer
Allegedly,
than
it's
I am.
1998.
Huh.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in
But-
5th grade, so that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I started going, well, I remember having a Game Boy, and then I got the Color later on.
I did get the color later, but I guess I don't have any concept of time at that point in time.
Which one did you guys have?
I had the purple one.
I knew you'd have the purple one, you bougie
Blue.
bitch. Mine was the lime green one. I loved that thing. One of the worst things I ever did was trading it in for, I think it was a Game Boy Advance later on, but oh my god, I played my first Pokemon game, Pokemon Yellow, was on my lime green Game Boy Color. Oh,
My old ass could not look at that screen today and be okay with playing on it. Like
No.
nowadays, Joe will start
Never.
we'll wake up on our mutual day off and he'll start showing me videos on TikTok and while we're still in bed, and I'm just like, turn the brightness up. I can't see. I'm old. I'm blind. Give me light.
Yeah, but wasn't that the first Game Boy that your screen was actually lit rather than...
no.
No,
No,
first
that was the Game Boy
you had to have
Advance
the little
SP.
attachment.
Yeah.
So you had the attachment with the like magnifier and the light that was on it.
Yeah.
That you'd have to like.
This one, you didn't have to have that attachment. The screen actually lit up itself.
Yeah. I know. What
That
you're
was the
talking
Game Boy Advance SP, the clamshell
Was it?
one,
about. Oh.
which I also
shit.
still have. I still have my old Game Boy Advance SP somewhere around here.
We have a lot of old school consoles sitting right over there. Like
I
10
definitely
feet
remember
away from
having
me.
my first Game Boy, and I did not have the light attachment. And so if we were driving at night, I was fucked at a certain time.
Yep.
Also playing Game Boy and playing Pokemon and having that fucking cable that you had to have to like link
The
to
transfer
other Game Boy
cable?
Oh,
trade.
yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Hell yeah.
So many
Okay, well-
accessories.
Let's go on to
loved
this. This is another gaming thing, but it's definitely not gaming you'll think of. Tamagotchi was invented in the 90s.
1993.
92.
96.
Damn. Really? 96? That's
Yeah.
surprising.
I swore it was later.
That was one of the first items that I remember being banned in my elementary school because they were so distracting. My first one was from KB Toys at the mall, and it was pink with orange buttons, and it was a Gigapet. I never had a Tamagotchi. I had a Gigapet. And
You
it
have to
was
take care of those assholes 24/7.
And it was a computer koala. And yeah, it would poop, and you had to clean up the poop, and you had to feed
Yeah.
it, or it would die.
Or it would die. And like that was important.
Thinking back that it was really this long ago that we played with all this stuff, that it's just
I mean, it
completely
makes sense.
void to the world today.
This was like the heyday of Tiger Electronics, honestly.
I mean, right now, I play an OLED Nintendo Switch, and I'm just like, when really
I
like,
sit
look back
on my
at-
couch. I'm entirely able to stream my laptop library of games to my tablet at work if I want to.
And it didn't take 4 AA batteries that would burn up in 45 minutes. Oh my god, I remember being limited because I would burn up batteries so fast, and Mom's like, we
Yeah.
can't afford this. What about the first camera phone?
1992.
No, I'm going to go with 96.
It is 99.
Wow,
That's
really?
later than I assumed.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was either 93 or 94 when that first Nokia 1011 came out, and that was kind of the huge transition in how cellular phones
I see that.
ran
Yeah,
America. So
because
then, like, camera phones came
Nokia
out a little
1011, you said?
later. I believe it was the 1011.
Oh, God. Yep, I remember that fucking
Yeah,
thing.
and it completely altered how bulky and chunky cell phones were.
I was thinking Palm Pilot, and I thought they were earlier than 99, but I guess I'm wrong.
so some of the earlier Blackberries didn't even have a camera. Like they were
Yeah.
designed to be secure, so they wouldn't put a camera on them because they didn't have any idea of how to secure the actual pictures taken on the device, so they didn't have them on that. But I guess that makes sense because a camera on a phone was sort of a novelty at the time versus the standard.
Yeah. And photos take a lot of memory, too.
Yes, they do.
Let's do another cell phone one.
Okay.
In the 90s, text message was invented. What year?
1995.
Let me go with 96.
It was actually 1992.
I wasn't sure, so I went right in the middle.
It's smart.
It
And
was the face that you made. It threw me the fuck off because you were like,
I know, that's why I did it. I'll give you a bonus point
He was like text messaging.
if you could get.
it's exactly what it was. he was like text messaging. You said 1995, and he went,
He went, hello, hello, hello.
"Hey, Roo."
Hey, kitty girls.
I'll give a bonus point if you can guess what the first text message was, and I'll give you a couple hints. It was 2 words, and it's something you wish somebody.
Happy birthday?
Oh, it's Merry Christmas.
Oh,
Fuck off.
it wasn't you up. Recipient, Darkwing Duck. Send.
So, what that was
That's a
the
throwback joke, Beardos.
The developer, Neil Papworth, sent it to Richard Jarvis.
How many more of these are there?
How lame.
There's 2.
Ew.
Oh, okay. great.
Yeah, they sent that, and then it's interesting. It took years for text messaging to even take effect and run mainstream, and then in 2007, text messages exceed phone calls.
Well, thank God, because don't fucking call me.
Don't you call me? That's why I don't answer the goddamn phone when you guys call. I don't want to
People
talk.
call, and I'm like,
I love you, but I don't want to talk.
when
Who
Joe
are
calls
you
me,
texting Merry Christmas to 50 times a day? IDK, my BFF Jarvis?
anyways, let's get these other 2 over.
Let's go with Google. Google was the 90s.
1998.
90. I'm gonna go with 97.
It is 98.
Ooh,
good
girl.
Okay.
I
have
wanted to
one
guess
more.
98, but I was like, that feels like a cop out. But now I regret my decision.
Yeah, you dumb bird. I have one more. Do you guys want to know your score, or do you want to just
No, one more. Let's just
hold
do
at the
it.
end? Okay.
Let's just do it. Yeah.
Amazon started in the 90s.
97.
Online bookshop.
1996.
It is
97.
95.
God damn it.
My mom used to go onto Amazon to buy books online.
Yeah.
I feel like Joe is luckier than you and I, Jay. I think
Joe had
that's
the money
thing.
to afford these things. No, I'm kidding.
It's not even that. I think it's just like Joe just has luck. He's got luck on his side. He could
he's
guess
just
a
good
number
at knowing
and
that
it
stuff.
just right.
So, Anthony, if you would have just, done a little better. No, I'm kidding.
Listen, this sounds like a work review.
You-
We need a shirt that just says, you dumb bitch, Jay.
You dumb bitch.
That's actually a really good idea. I'm going to make that shirt.
That's a great
Anyways,
idea. Yeah.
it ended up being Anthony 6,
Okay.
Joe 8.
Hey!
You guys would have tied, and I would have had to pull up my Palm Pilot one.
What's the Palm Pilot? Wait, no, I don't want to know. It may have taken us 20 plus years, but the music is coming back on. And it's Love Fool by the Cardigans.
Ooh, 1994.
Love me, say that you love me. Go call our hotline real quick and leave a voicemail. That number is 405-999-2242.
And Beardos, it's time for us to change the Beards and Sundries logo to a rainbow for the month of June, but just June. Just kidding, it's always a rainbow. But it's still time for us to go. If you'd like to help us out, go and subscribe to our podcast so you can get a reminder every Sunday when we release a new episode. We also post frequent updates on all of our social media sites for any sundries that we add to the market.
Also, don't forget to rate us 5 stars and leave a review. Those reviews are what get us found by more listeners like you. Also, if just each one of you could tell a friend about the podcast, that would double our growth of my tick.
Oh,
You're welcome.
that's from the Viagras.
That's the Cialis.
Guys, we really want to reminisce on all the calls and all the emails that you send us. So send them at beardsandsundries@gmail.com. Check our website out, beardsandsundries.com, or get in touch with us on any of our socials, which is, what the hell are they? TikTok, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, those. Go check those out. I sometimes post things when I remember.
So, from the three of us very gay and very nostalgic shop clerks here at the Beards and Sundries Market, make sure to
Remember to love yourself in the past.
Because we already loved you in fond memory. Bye, Beardo!